All right, we still have not addressed the issue of the upcoming year. If we want to do that here and now, or I'm sure Bill has some ideas. We can't talk individually to each other. We can only do it in an open meeting. Bill can talk individually and get ideas and come up with some possible scenario and plan that we can be presented with next meeting. Just you give me your ideas of how to proceed with this.
Essentially, we need to vote on it next meeting, correct? To continue funding in a reasonable pace.
We're doing
We do have that money appropriated in the budget. When you approve it, it'll be appropriated, but as to how you disperse it, that really needs to be defined.
But I guess my point is we can't do that the month after this. We need to take some definitive action next month.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So whatever we're doing, we really need you and staff to come up with a report, kind of a contract or whatever that we can get and digest and give you feedback on before the next meeting.
And I don't mind giving you some of those thoughts today. We have put a lot of money into this project. I have taken the time in the past month to go in detail through CareSync and their newest product, CareSync Plus, and I have to tell you, I am really impressed with the product. I think it has its place in the market, but I don't think they found that market yet. Someone is going to do what they're doing. I hope it's us. One thing, there's a couple of things though from a logic standpoint I think we need to consider. The money that we have put into CareSync, if we walk, is gone with certainty. There is absolutely no way you can ever recover it. If we continue funding, I think to be good stewards, we have to have a reasonable debate related to whether or not this company is going to be funded properly until it gets into positive cash flows and the viability of that product relative to the amount of funding. Those are really problems that could be timing problems. If you look at the way they have gone through cash, they're going to be out of money approximately in December. I have had conversations with Mr. Bond relative to giving you good information so that you would feel at peace with continuing to fund. And he certainly knows that by October, he has to come before you and give you some credible financial information, or at least something significant relative to market development that will compel you to continue to fund, or we will be confronted with causing a delay in funding, which could delay the development of the product. We're just at that juncture. And I don't know that it's a sin or a crime or whatever. It's just part of what we do. So I will continue to work with him, and I think they have some pretty exciting things that are on the table, but they have not yet, as of today, fully or formally been materialized or developed. That answer.
I guess as a follow-up, if we are going to have something to vote on next month, how fast could you get something prepared as to what the proposal will be for next year's funding? What your thoughts are, so we can start debating that
If in the best of all worlds, I would like to see the funding for next year conditioned with some type of match from the company. I have expressed to Mr. Bond that I feel like with his investment and our investment, we're getting close to $10 million. There should be some form of equity there. I don't want him to have to give up the ranch to get equity, but if after a $10 million investment, we can't extraneously raise another $1 million to $2 million to keep the company viable, then we really have to have a serious conversation about whether or not it's more appropriate to cease funding. I hope that scenario doesn't happen, but I think we have to be prepared to debate it. And I'll do everything I can in the next 30 days to keep you from having to have that particular debate.
But to your question, we would definitely try to get you guys something a lot earlier than the Friday before the meeting so that you have time to digest it.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
Any other questions? I mean, we are at a juncture here, and I think we all know that. We knew this day at some point would come, and with all the work and the efforts and the energies and the progress that's been made here, there absolutely, I think we're all aware of, there comes a day of reckoning. And whatever setbacks or drawbacks or bumps in the road, we have to look at those and hit them head on, and that's what I think we should be prepared to do once we get this data in. And we have to decide what is the best course of action to proceed from here. And that's what we'll do, that's what we're charged to do, that's what we'll do. Pardon me?
There should be a motion to direct staff and the attorney to come back with some sort of contract. There should be a motion for that.
For our approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a motion seconded for staff and attorney to come up with some appropriate contract to come back next month for our approval for the continuation into the coming year with continuing the IDA. Is that pretty much the motion? Any other questions about that motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same side.
No.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next.
Budget.
You should have in front of you a copy of the draft budget for 2014. The copy in front of you is the same budget that was brought before you at last month's meeting during our budget hearing. We did go over that budget and agreed to bring back the final budget at this month's meeting for adoption, and our fiscal year will start next month on October 1st. So the budget you have essentially in front of you is complete. There is one change that will be made to this budget, which Bill kind of mentioned earlier, and that is to the line item for floor can, which is on your second page, and it is the fourth column over. We have an appropriation in the Mosaic funding for $1 million for floor can. We are proposing to increase that funding to $1.5 million. So if you decide to do that, we will make the changes in this budget and increase that funding to $1.5 million, and then you will be voting to adopt this final budget by resolution today.
This is in fact the same budget we saw last time, except for that line item.
It is, and you will notice that in the copy you have, the change has not been made on the copy that you have. Once you vote to approve that change, the accountants will make that change, and in fact in his copies he has already made the line item change. But assuming that you vote to approve the increase, the final budget that will be posted online on our website and that we will adopt by resolution will show the change of the 1.5.
If this is the budget for 2014,
Yes, it is.
then what was the talk a while ago about another 3 or 4 million for continuing labs? Is that in 2015 you're talking about?
3 or 4 million.
Well, I'm sure that's what it'd be. I'm just saying, after
The budget that you
after this $900,000 is gone, okay, you're saying there's gonna be another.
You'll have to make amendments to the budget for any
Where's the
additional
money gonna-
funding.
Yeah, but where's the money gonna come from?
Right now in the Mosaic Fund, if you look at your copy, carry forward to the next fiscal year, 2015, you have approximately 5.2 million
Okay, that'd be good enough for them. Okay.
Now, I mean, with
All
the,
right, I'm good with that.
with the proposed change of increasing floor can 500,000, that number is going to decrease to 4.7 million.
Okay, thank you.
We
I'm
will
good
be
with that.
receiving an additional $5 million though that comes in from Mosaic next May as well. So, just to give you an idea.
Any other questions on this budget as proposed with the change? Again, this is the same budget we saw last month, except for the $500,000.
And it can be amended at the board's will at any meeting.
Yeah. You can certainly amend it at any time.
Do we have to have an authorization to publish or anything relative to these?
Now, once it's approved, you need to post this to your website
Right.
within 60 days of approval.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved. With changes.
Second. Motion's made and seconded to approve the budget with the $500,000 change. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
And then we also need a motion to approve the resolution, Resolution 13-01, which states that we will be adopting the budget for fiscal year 2013-14. And you should have a copy of that resolution in front of you, two of you. Ken did produce this resolution, so it has been viewed by the attorney and approved by him.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the second motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Financial report.
Go ahead and turn over to page 21 in your packet. That should be the profit and loss as of August 2013 for the EDC. Under our income, you will notice the very top line under grants, we did draw our last draw from the EDA of $55,500, and that money was for the grant that we received from the EDA last year for funding of the administration of the EDC office, that $150,000 grant. So we did make our last draw for that, and then we've collected our rent. And so for the month, we did have a total of $59,000 in income. Under our expenses, it was a pretty normal month, other than, let me draw your attention to the line item for insurance. That little over $2,200 that was paid out was for director and officer insurance renewals. So that was an extra line item for that month. Our expenses totaled $28,324.02 for the month. A little bit over just because of the director and officers, but other than that, very normal. And then if you continue to scroll through the pages, that's where your general ledger and your payroll detail is. If you have any questions on those, I can answer them. Otherwise, we will continue on over. Page 31, just to call your attention, is your reconciliation detail for the month. You can see that all of the checks and balances came out, so the accounts did reconcile. On page 33, that takes you to the profit and loss for the Industrial Development Authority for the month of August. The top line item for EDA grant income, we did receive a reimbursement from the EDA for the command center, the remaining portion of that funding that needed to come in, and that was for $254,000. We also, under fruit income, received our check for the Valenches, and that was the RISE check that came in. And then below that one is a IDA projects. Those were payments that were made from PFM to the IDA. There are some cosmetic items in the building that PFM decided to pay additional money to receive an upgrade or something that we had a budgeted amount for, and they decided they wanted either a higher end product or something changed. And so they are paying the difference in those line items. So that income was for some of those. Under expenses, the top item is the Rapid Systems payment that was paid out the month prior. And then the only other, the larger payment under professional fees, we did pay out $145,681 to Half Acre for project management of PFM. Behind that is the general ledger and profit and loss by class. If you don't have any other questions, we can go on to approve financials.
I got a question, please. Could you address the $300,000 that was spent on the concrete for the Spec 2 building that wasn't necessary? 2 feet thick of concrete to support a machine that has a downforce of 87 PSI? And the final thing is, what's the story on the air conditioning for the PFM building? Does the whole building have to be air conditioned, or?
Greg, go on.
No, go ahead, you give me that.
I'm not the person to speak about the flooring at all. Go for it, Bill.
The flooring is installed. It was installed according to engineering specifications. It has nothing to do with downward force. It has to do with vibration and damping.
Well,
I'm
you
not
just said
competent to
that
judge any of that, Mr. Horst. I respect your opinion, but it is poured. We can go out there and cut it up and recycle it if necessary, but it is poured. It is
It's
there.
nothing to do with vibration, trust me.
You win. You're right, but it's
No,
still
it's
there.
not right or wrong, it's $300,000.
But it was done before you got on this board. Had we had you, we
I
could
know.
have prevented it
I
from
know.
happening.
I know, but who's gonna, you don't even want to investigate who caused this to happen?
I don't know. I don't live in the past. I live in the future. The past is gone, and if somebody has to be hung for it, I'll take the responsibility.
Nobody needs to
Hang
know.
me. Buy a rope. Don't string me up. It's okay. But we need to
I
move
don't
on
want to
from
see
it.
you
It's
strung
there.
up. I don't want to see you strung up. All I want to know is,
The buck stops with me. I take the responsibility. Blame me. I don't know.
well, maybe the person that caused that to be installed has insurance, and their insurance company should cover the return of that money to the Hardy County citizens. Why not look into it?
Okay, I will. What else? I will think of it.
Have we voted on that yet?
No, sir.
I hear a motion to approve the financials.
I think so.
We are, somebody do it already? Did you do it, Gene? Say yes.
Yes.
Do I hear a second? Any further questions on the financials? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we have a time for any comments from the public, or Mike, or anybody else on the board?
Could we get an update on the Party Lakes, where they are, when they're supposed to be finished in November?
I rode out there Saturday, my wife and I, because we are campers, and we've camped out there a lot. And I was excited when they said it was going to be ready October 1st. So we rode out there, and they've done work. The electrical risers are in on each site. That looked to me, and I'm not an expert, don't claim to be one, don't want to be one. It looked to me like the mains were run down in front of the part of the sites, that no laterals run over to where the risers were, electrical risers for the individuals to hook into. I know it's been really, really wet out there. We've had a lot of rain, and it's been massively wet. There is no apparent dump station there. There's the place that's been there for a year with the sand hauled in there, or there's no bathhouse there. And part of our money was for those things. And they've had that money well over a year.
Year and a half.
Yeah, well over a year. And I've yet to understand why, personally, that has never been finished. And I'm sure there's a reason. But if they're going to open October 1st with all those things in there that they said we were going to have, somebody better rock and roll. Because I don't think in 3 weeks it's gonna be there.
Is
That's
there-
just my observation.
Is there any way that we could get the money that's left back and
And
add
do it
some money
ourselves?
to it and get a contractor out there?
We've offered to do it ourselves and they don't want us to do that. But yet it's not getting done, and that I can see. And I'm not an engineer or an expert. I'm a camper. And what I see out there right now is nothing different than when I went out there and camped. Blue, with none out there. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, could Bill please get us a report on it?
He was just looking at me.
I was going to defer to Commissioner Thompson, but I will get a report. We will have Danny Weeks at the next meeting.
Next meeting, it should be open.
Make a note, please. Thank you.
But that was just my observations last Saturday, because I was excited. And I left there not really too excited. Anyway, I'm not throwing anybody on the bus. It just wasn't what I thought it should have been by now.
The last report that we had was that it was going to be open by October 1st. Now, I'm not sure.
Well, it's open now.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what their
What that
definition,
meant?
what Danny's definition of open is. We'll find out.
All I know is they've had the money a year and a half, to your point.
They have.
And that's a long time. Okay, any other comments, questions? Snide remarks.
We need some sacrificial lambs to consider being vice chair and treasurer. The treasurer job is not going to be difficult with the accounting firm, but I really need someone to seriously consider painting a big target on their back and becoming vice chair. Vanessa has agreed to ascend to the throne
Or
of
maybe he's in.
chair. So if one of you will contemplate becoming vice chair and let me know, I will be more than happy to offer a slate of officers at the next meeting, or if two of you would like to do it, we'll have a vote.
Is the chair of the IDA also going to be the chair of the EDC?
Yes, we're just gonna do both the same, since we're on dual.
Does life insurance come with that?
I'm not health insurance.
We could add that.
Free blood pressure medicine.
Any other questions, comments?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion made, seconded, let's adjourn. Thank you all for your participation.